going on, Jeromes? Beautiful day for some Q&A. Thank you, everyone who submitted questions. We'll periodically put it out there on the community tab, so let's fire things up. Thomas Supinger, nailed it. Before the season began, I felt the Vikings had the toughest part of their schedule in the beginning. Now that we made it to the bye and haven't lost yet, do you honestly think there's a tough patch to come? 2 division games towards the end of the season. Is that it? That's at. Are we undermining any teams in the couple weeks? Well, the old cliche, like every single game is tough. Oh, I just saw the Jalen Tolbert contorted testicle. Hi-ya. But every single game is tough, and any given Sunday, blah, 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 blah. But what's interesting is that, the Vikings' first 5 games were seen as the toughest in the league, and the Vikings have run the gauntlet. And now, the remaining schedule, PFF grades it as the 30th easiest, or the 30th most difficult, I guess, so the third easiest schedule remaining, which, don't want to take any teams lightly, but the Lions game is going to be, that's it. That's it. And the Rams are banged up. The Colts haven't been impressive. The Jaguars were 1-4. They just barely beat the Colts. Titans are a disaster. Bears, I'm not buying. Cardinals could be tough. Falcons could be interesting. But other than that, you do play 4 out of 5 games on the road, but then you have 4 out of 5 games at home. And frankly, could it be a spot where that Week 18 game doesn't matter? Maybe the Vikings have the division and the 1 seed locked up. And that's not even like thumping my chest. That's just math, So, yeah, that Lions game, if it comes down to that, for all the marbles, it will be a tough game, certainly. But there isn't a game left on the schedule that you're dreading. You know what I mean? So it says a lot about this team, but you can't take any single one of these games lightly. Next, Pants on Parade. Did the Jets unlock a new punt return power? If you shove the receiving team's blocker into the returner after a fair catch and before the ball is caught, apparently it isn't a foul. That's been known for a while, but generally the corners on punt return aren't projectiles, right? And, Caleb Evans, I like, but he did not have a good day on special teams. He was consistently a hindrance on punt return. Eventually, he was replaced by Trent Sherfield. And also on punt coverage, he was no bueno as well. And eventually, he was replaced by Theo Jackson on that. So I think it's a spot where the Vikings are going to have to make a decision here. Not saying like cut or trade Caleb Evans, but you should look at Nudie McLaughlin, who's been a healthy scratch to start the season. Give the other kids a shot and go from there. Osama been smoking. It seemed to me that Darnold's struggles came from force-feeding Justin Jefferson. Does he do better if he just takes what's open? Yes. And watching the All-22 of the last couple of games, there has been times where Darnold's just been like, F it, Jefferson's there. And sometimes it works out. Like the Packers game where Nixon had good coverage on him, but just threw the back shoulder, and it was great. But there was a couple times where DJ Reed had great coverage on Jefferson, Sauce as well, and Darnold. It did seem like Darnold and Kevin O'Connell were trying to press a little bit, and Darnold especially. I feel like there was a little bit of ego there. His former team, international stage, standalone game, wanted to prove all the haters and the losers wrong. But there was a lot of times where things were open underneath, and he just continued to chuck it deep. Now, when it works out, you applaud him. It's just like, oh, that's Sam Darnold just using that arm and accuracy, right? But eventually, if you just nickel and dime the Jets' defense to death, it keeps your defense on the side. It keeps theirs on the field and getting tired. And then all of a sudden, things open up for Jefferson. And that's been part and parcel so far this season where, early on, it's clear that Darnold was spreading around the wealth and wasn't trying to force things to Jefferson. And then Jefferson's like, I'm always open. And then Jets game, there's definitely forceage there. So hopefully it gets back to a more balanced offense coming up. Next, Cody Pierce. Is our first half dominance sustainable, and is our second half problems fixable? Yes. Where, the first half, the Vikings have just come out like a house on fire, right? And they've had double-digit leads in each of the last 4 games, including shutouts over the other team in the first 4 games, and that can stay hot. And that really comes down to game day preparation. You're getting ready for tendencies. You're getting ready to project what the other team could script if you're the defense. And offensively, Kevin O'Connell's been great in the first half. But second half, both sides have to adjust. And also, it is a little bit concerning, the offense basically shutting down in the second half against the Packers and the Jets. But that's something that they just have to sack up and ride out. All right, so the bye week comes at a good time where this team still has a lot of questions, but fortunately they are 5-0 and they are finding ways to get things done, which speaks to the hat and speaks to the grittiness. But Kevin Conner, Brian Flores, still have things to work on. Lastly, buttery flaky crust. Darnold getting hurt scared me. Should we go get Tannehill, or would you prefer to roll Mullins and rip an ass? Thank you. I think Tannehill's waiting for a very clear spot where he could just start. Right, that's why he didn't go to Green Bay. So I think that he's waiting for a team to have a season-ending injury. Knocking on all the wood. Hopefully, he won't be here. But with Darnold, Darnold's taken some dings and some bruises. The whole knee thing. Also, that shot that he took from Chasserot. Don't know if it's the ribs or he's definitely sore. At minimum, got the wind knocked out of him. Now, did that affect him the rest of the game? If you've ever had sore ribs and you try to cough, it's murder. Just imagine trying to throw something while bracing for a hit too. It's rough, man. But knocking on all the wood. If something did happen, I'm fine with Nick Mullins, and I know it's unpopular, but he's got to dial back the gunslinging a little bit. But he can operate the offense. He can feed Justin Jefferson, and he can be dangerous. Sometimes we always say Nick Mullins is going to throw 4 touchdowns. Don't know to which team, but there's going to be 4 touchdowns had today. And his 3 starts last year, he averaged almost 400 yards a game. So he can chuck the pill. So you're going to be fine there. Or we could trade for Jaron Hall. I don't know, man. But that's it. Q&A for this beautiful day, Bay. You guys are the best. You know what to do. Skull Production Value.